Alright, so our scene is ready, and we have completed our model in 3D, and we have put the keyboard and the trackpad and the UI design attached to the screen. So you can turn it around and see. I have kept the quality of the Ray Trace 3D options to draft here at level 1 because I want to work with the scene. It is much faster. We don't have to worry about the shadows or the different effects right now. We can turn them on later on. So for animation, we'll be approaching it with two ways. First is like we will be animating the camera itself. So if I press C on the keyboard and get the camera tool from here, if I move this camera, you'll see that this is what our scene will be. Notice that we are not actually moving the object, so there will be no keys of animation on the object itself. Okay, so the object will have its own independent properties of position and scale and rotation. Okay, so that will not be affected, will only affect the camera here. So it is much easier for us to manage. All right, and then we will have also create null objects or controllers to the base and the screen of the laptop, so that we have some additional control over like the laptop opening up and maybe scaling up before when the scene starts. So firstly, let's go ahead and create a null object to do the same. So we'll right click on the timeline, new, and create a null object. Okay, let's rename this as master, and we'll make it 3D as well. Then let's move this at the bottom somewhere here. We can now go to our custom view so that we'll be better able to see the scene. You can also toggle going to the left view and the right view to better position your null object. So let's do it somewhere around here, or maybe you can also, as it's a master, you can also take it to the center of the laptop. Somewhere here, and then we'll go to the front view and see if it's in the center. So it looks perfect. We can also go ahead and scale this up as it is a master object. Now let's go back to our active camera, and this is a control where I want to parent all of the objects. Okay, all the objects that we have created. So it is a master control for all the objects in our scene. So if we animate the position of this null, it will affect the position of all the objects that we have created, like this keyboard layer, the individual UI layers, and the trackpad and everything else. Okay, because this 3D object and that there are like too many objects to control individually, so we'll create one master object for that. So to parent everything to the null object, we will select all of these layers. Let's bring down the trackpad layer. Let's keep the lights and the camera at the top, and we'll take the master layer down here as well. And then let's select all of the objects that we have created so far except the BG. And you see a little spiral tool here. This is a pick whip tool. Just click on it and drag it on top of the master, so all of these layers will become the child of our null object. So for example, if I now rotate the X or Y or any axis of the null, the laptop will rotate with it. Okay, so or if I move it or anything, if I'm moving it in some axis, or if I'm scaling all of that, it takes a little bit to render, and that's why you will see some pixelated view, but it will render fast or slow depending on your configuration of the system. But don't worry about that. So we have created a master null object. Now let's create another null for us to only parent the UI and the screen element, so that we will be able to open it up with the control. All right, so let's go ahead, right click, new, and create another null object. Let's rename this as screen. Let's bring it down, and now we'll make this null object 3D as well. And again, we'll reposition that to the hinge where it is connected to the base. So let's go to the left view first. Let's bring it down to about here, where presumably the hinge will be. And also what we will need to do is, you'll notice that the screen is at the bottom here. It should be somewhere intersecting somewhere around here. So let's place that as well. So we'll take our screen and all of the UI elements. We'll select all of them. Let's go back to our active camera first. And we'll just bring all of them up a little bit. Again, we'll have to go back to the left view. So you'll have to do this once or twice just to really place the objects properly. And it might take some time. It might be a slow process, but the more precise you can get, the better the animation will be. So let's select our null again, the screen, and let's position it to the hinge from where it will be rotating. You can really zoom in and be accurate about it. Okay, and then we'll go to the front view and make sure that it's in the center. It will not matter if it is not in the exact center, but if it is, it's always good. Now also we'll need to adjust the UI of this on the screen a little bit, because it has been slided towards the right side. So let's select all of these UI elements and move them on the x-axis to really center them on the screen. Okay, it looks better now. So after this is done, let's go back to our active camera. Okay, now we have another null object here named screen. Alright, so let's only select our screen shape and then all of the UI elements related to it. Okay, so if I just hide all of them, you'll notice what you have selected. Okay, and now I want to parent all of these controls to the screen null. Okay, and once you do that, you'll notice that now the only objects which are parented to the master control are the base objects. So also your screen will not move with it, like broken the connection with the master. But now we can parent the screen null to the master again. So now if we move the master, it will in turn move the screen null, and then it will in turn move the screen with the base objects which are already parented to it. So it might sound confusing a little bit, but it's really simple. Now you can test that by rotating the master control once again, and everything works fine here. And also let's go to the screen controller here, and if you go to rotate, let's see if we can rotate it in x-axis to close the laptop, and it seems to be working fine. Okay, so 90° will really close it up, and we can have it slightly closed and then animate it opening up while the camera is rotating, and then all the UI screen elements will pop out. So basically null objects makes it really easy for us to animate, because you'll only have to now deal with one layer and the properties of one layer instead of animating all of these properties. So it's always better to rig basic objects this way, and you can add as many nulls as you want. You can even parent all of these individual elements to individual null objects, but we don't need it right now because we are not going to do too much of a complex animation right now. They'll just be coming out of the screen like this, and we'll have some shadow and all of the lighting properties, which we will turn on later on in the options. Okay, so I think our scene is set up and our lighting and camera is set up. So like I explained earlier, we'll be animating coming up of that laptop, like opening the flap and everything, and then we'll animate the camera around it to keep it simple. So let's go ahead and start animation.